Hey, it's Greg Stanley. Do you know you can now win prizes such as a Starbucks gift card, Concours tickets, or car swag for being the first to answer an entertaining trivia question? Get the weekly trivia question by following me on Instagram or Facebook at the Collector Car Podcast and just DM me your answer. The first person with the correct answer wins. Also, as a new aspect of my automotive passion and hobby, I am a car specialist consultant for RM Sotheby's. If you need assistance consigning a collector car at Amelia Island, Pebble Beach, Auburn, West Palm, or Hershey, email me directly at gstanley@rmsotheby's.com.
This is the Collector Car Podcast, the home for the auto enthusiast. Join Greg Stanley as he applies over 25 years of insights and analytical experience to the collector car market. He will interview the experts and throw in some fun stuff as well.
Hey, this is Greg Stanley with the Collector Car Podcast. I got a cool guest today, Dale Oates. Dale, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Now, we met at a friend's Cars and Coffee, and you drove up in something real special. What can you tell me about the car you drove up in?
It's basically a garage find 1967 GT500 Shelby was formerly a drag car and then sat for quite a long time. I think they stopped running it in 79 or 80.
Wow.
And it just sat and had boxes stacked on top of it and lumber and everything else.
Now, how'd you find out about that car?
I actually transported it for a friend of a friend, and it was told to me that it was a Mustang, and I got there, and to my surprise, it was one of my cars that I've wanted all my life, and it was a 67 GT500 Shelby.
I will have to say, I think the 67 is the coolest Shelby. You got the dual quads, right? The only year they had that on the 428, right?
Yep, dual four barrels, and it's the early inboard headlight car.
Yeah, tell a little bit about that to our listeners, because I'm a big Shelby fan, so I know what that is, and I know that there was also the side marker light on the back and a couple other things, but what's so special about the early cars?
The early 350s had lights in the backs of the scoops, or what they call air extractors, and those were turn signal, emergency flashers, brake lights. The first 100 cars had those, and the National Highway Safety Board came in and said you cannot have a red light above the belt line of a car. The cars in California actually came back. They removed the scoops, and they put different scoops on, or sometimes they'd repair them. Turns out my car had a set of scoops that had lights in them originally off of a GT350 that was the same color, and they just put one layer of fiberglass and filled the holes in with Bondo.
Wow. Okay, so the GT500s did not have those?
They did not have those, but I like them. I think they're neat. With the car being unrestored, we just knocked out with a hammer that Bondo and fiberglass, and I found a set and put them in there. I just think they're kind of novel on the car, and when I go to redo it, I will not put those on, but they're kind of a conversation piece, and they're neat.
What's the thought process behind having them on the 350s but not the 500s? Any idea on that?
Because the 500s weren't ready yet early in production.
Oh, wow. There you go. What's the story on the inboard lights? Now you went to outboard.
The inboard lights, the state of California didn't like those. They were legal across the U.S. except for California. So the first few hundred cars had those, and then the state of California was like, no, you can't do this. So, again, some of those cars in California got brought back and got put the outer lights, and they used up the grill and the inner light brackets until they had no more and shipped them out to other states other than California after that point.
Oh, wow. That's a really cool stat. Do you have any idea how many inboard fog light cars there are?
It's like the first third.
Okay.
I don't know that I've ever heard an exact number.
Right. Okay. Now, do you have any period drag racing pictures of that car? That would be kind of cool.
I do not, and actually, at the last Shelby Nationals, I ran into a guy that was friends of the former owner that had passed away of this Shelby, and his GT350 had my GT500 springs in the front of it.
Oh, wow.
And there was 5 or 6 guys at the Norfolk base, and they all had Shelbys.
Okay, right.
So, and they all kind of hung out together, and Louis Rendelak, that had my car, was one of those guys.
Right, yeah. Okay, are you going to get those springs back?
No, I'm not worried about those springs.
Right. Now we're talking a lot about one particular car, but you deal with a lot of different cars. Can you tell me a little bit about your business?
I do. Company is Euro Classics. I've been in business since 2000, so this is our 20th anniversary.
Congratulations.
We've done a lot of neat stuff. We work on street cars as well, but we do Porsche Club, BMW Club. We do a lot of prep and work for those guys, and as well as regular street cars. And, we do one restoration at a time. Currently working on a 503 BMW that I've had for quite a while. It's really hard to get parts for.
I was about to say a 503. What year would that be?
That's a 1957, and the engine, transmission, rear end is the same that's in a 507, but the 503 was more of a touring car and less of a sports car.
Right. Yeah. So you're trying to track down some pretty rare stuff then.
Yep.
Now, what's one of the coolest cars you've done a complete restoration on? One of your favorites?
Boy, that'd be hard to say. I was on a run with Kevin Ryan of Ryan Racing Restorations that was originally in California, and he moved to Columbus. And when he moved to Columbus, we'd already had a relationship. Kevin is a perfectionist, so he can be hard to work with at times for some people, but me and Kevin hit it off, as soon as we met. And when he moved to Columbus, I started doing paint work for him and body work, and we had a good relationship, and we still do, obviously. But, Kevin and I did Jerry Seinfeld's 907 Short Tail.
Really?
We did Nick Mason's 907 Short Tail.
Wow.
We did a lot of work for a fellow in California that's got every year 911 race car and street car. So you'd have the top-tier street car of that year and the race car of the same year. Every year, 911. And then he also had other cars. We did 906-001, which was actually a 904 with a six-cylinder in it.
Okay.
And then I did several 910s. 910 actually had 910-005 and 006 at my shop at one time, and then 007 came later.
Wow. Now, how did you become the go-to guy for these really rare Porsche race cars?
Well, we raced a 910.
Okay.
And when we started vintage racing it, the vintage racing cars weren't, as nice as really you see them today. And our car always looked really nice, and we always took really good care of it. And I just got a lot of customers, and and Kevin had a good customer base too. So people knew me, they knew him. And it was just a good. We were a good team for quite a few years.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Now, are those Carrera engine cars?
Yes. Well, the 907s had six cylinders in them. The 910s had six cylinders in them. Some of them had, the last 7 or 8 cars had 8 cylinders in them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I could be off on that number, but maybe the last 10. But
yeah, I'm definitely not up on my Porsche race engines for sure.
But the 910, we ran 006, which was a 2-liter prototype class Le Mans winner. And you can actually see that car in the movie Le Mans several times.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay.
So now Bruce Meyer owns the car now, and it's the first car you see when you walk into Peterson Automotive Museum. So.
All right, Dale, now I understand that you are involved or have been involved in racing Porsches in the past. What can you tell me about that?
Oh, yeah, we ran Porsche Fab Car GTP Lights car in the IMSA series back in the 80s. Actually ended up running 2 of those cars. The 42 car, which is Fab Car FEP 001. We actually still own that car. John Higgins owns it and still actively races it. It ran in the Classic 24 last fall. It actually finished third in the Classic 24 in 2018, which is a pretty big deal because that was 962s and the Jaguar GTP cars. And
now, is this a 901? What Fab car is
it? They dubbed it the Baby 962. Fab Car out of Tucker, Georgia at the time, which is now in Indianapolis, built this car as a lights car, so it was campaigned as a GTP lights car, which was a non-turbo. And the 962s ran GTP and were turbocharged.
Okay.
So it takes the same windshield as a 962. It looks very similar as a 962. People mistake it for a 962 all the time. when in actuality it's not.
Okay. Yeah, I Googled it and I'm like, wow, that's a special car right there for sure. So that one is still being raced today?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And two of the original drivers still drive the car. John Higgins is owner driver. He's 72, and we run a GT3 Cup car as well. But we ran, at one point in the late 80s, or late 90s, we were running the Fab car, the RSK, and the 910, and we actually did, I think, 13 vintage races in 1 year with those 3 cars.
Wow. Now, when you talk about a vintage race, that's what, probably a 4-day commitment or something like that?
Yeah. With a test day, it's a 4-day commitment. It's lots of fun, and it's a lot of guys that John raced with back in the day, and John was a very good endurance racer. Not exactly the fastest guy on the track, but he was always consistent, always brought it home in one piece, and ran good fast lap times. And that's what endurance racing is all about.
Right, yeah, and being consistent and bringing it home, that in and of itself is a big deal.
Yes.
So, wow,
yeah.
Okay.
The RSK that we vintage raced, that car, actually at Amelia Island, I was speaking with one of the guys from Porsche Motorsports North America that does the heritage end of it, and we were talking, and I was telling him how much the car had vintage raced, and he says that has got to be the most raced early RS Series car in the world.
Wow. Was that Ray Schaefer by chance?
Yes.
He was actually a previous guest on this podcast. He's a great guy.
Okay, great. And that's something, we race this car, and we race it a lot, and there's not a lot of RSKs or RS60s or RS61s out there racing, especially now.
Right.
And I had never thought about it that way, that car has been raced more than any other RS Series car. We have fun doing it, and Rick Grant owns the RSK, and people think he's a little crazy for running it, but at the end of the day, that's what those cars were built for, and that's what we do with it.
Right. And does that car still have the original engine?
We do have the original engine with the car, and it's actually in the car now.
That's a really cool car. So what car has gotten away that you wish you had?
Really, not a lot. I mean,
that's good.
I like I'm a Mustang guy at heart. I like foreign cars. I have some Porsches and stuff like that. And most of those are, just some nice street cars. I've still got several Mustangs and Fords.
So I'm a big Mustang guy as well. So tell me a little bit about your Mustangs. Are they 60s?
Well, I have the 67 GT500. Then I've got a 79 Fox body that's a Daytona concept car. So it was a Mustang Daytona, and it was built by Cars and Concepts in Brighton, Michigan, for the Ford Motor Company. I've got photos of it on the Design Center showroom floor, and it's kind of an ode and concept of kind of like what a Mustang would look like done up like a Daytona Ferrari.
Wow, that would be amazing to see.
Covered headlights, covered taillights. It's got 4 bucket seats. It's got a console that goes through it all the way. It's all done in perforated leather, so the headliner's perforated leather. Has 4 sun visors.
Oh, wow.
And it's said to be the first T-top car that Ford built in the Fox bodies. That I don't know. I can't say that for sure. But I do know it's a factory concept car. It's the only, they built 3 of them. The other 2 were really just show cars. They were just shells. And then this is the only one that ran.
Now, is that a 4-cylinder in there? Because I didn't have the 5.0s.
It's a two-barrel 5-liter. It's the first year for the updated 5-liter engine opposed to the 302 Windsor.
Gotcha. Okay. What other cool cars you got in your collection there?
I've got a 2012 Boss 302 Laguna Seca edition, and that car's a lot of fun. It's kind of the GT3 RS of the Fords.
Right, yeah.
But I've got a 1936 Auburn Boattail Speedster that's a fiberglass replica that me and my father built together, and it's got a 429 Cobra Jet in it with a Paxton supercharger on it.
Really? So what kind of horsepower are you pushing out with that Auburn?
That car's about 485 horsepower.
Wow, that's got to sound a little odd looking at that thing and then hearing it fire up.
It sounds really good. It's a stunning car to begin with. And I've done a lot to it to make it look like more like an original Accord than, what a lot of the reproductions look like.
Right. Now, have you seen any, based on the cars that are passing through your shop, any changes to the collector car marketplace? Are you seeing some new cars being restored that, 10 years ago?
As all of us know, those Asian cars,
Yep.
the Z cars and NSXs, and the 80s and 90s cars are doing well, and they're just up and coming,
Yeah, generational shift for sure going on. Wow, well, that's really awesome. Now, what would you buy if I gave you $100,000? What kind of cool cars would you buy, or car would you buy with $100,000?
Boy, that's hard to say. First thing in my mind comes is the new GT500 Shelby.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. That's about $100,000 all in, right?
That's a lot of. That would be track pack and carbon edition at the $100,000 mark. So.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a great answer.
And I have contemplated selling a couple cars and buying one of those.
Well, there's always that option for sure. Well, cool, man. Well, one thing I like to do at the end of this, I think I gave you a heads up. Hopefully I did. I play a little game called Keep, Cash, and Crush. So I give you 3 cars, and you have to tell me which one you want to keep forever, which one you want to cash in, and which one you want to crush. And so
all right.
I did not, for some reason, I knew you had the Shelby, but I didn't put together the dots about being a Mustang guy.
Yeah.
So I went
I
by
got a couple Torinos too, but
okay. Well, I went by the name of your shop, Euro Classics, and I picked 3 classic European cars. All right. So I went kind of a deep cut on this one. So the first one's a 1961 Jaguar E-Type, the Series 1 with a 3.8.
Okay.
Let's figure these are all drivers. They're all drivers.
Now, is that a church key nose Weldon Louvers car?
Let's say no.
Okay.
That might make it too easy.
That could
make
a difference.
That could make a difference for sure. Let's say the second car is a 1966 Griffith TVR 400.
Okay.
With the little 289. I always thought it was a hypo 289, but I researched it. It doesn't seem like it's a hypo.
No.
So, and then the third car, 1959 Abarth 750 record Monza GT.
Well,
so
I would definitely keep the flat bottom Jag.
Okay, that's the keep. All right.
And boy, that I always liked the Fiat, and I was not a fan of the TVR, so I would say crush the TVR, even though it's Ford powered.
Even though it's Ford powered, that's fair. All right, so we're going to cash in the Abarth. All right. Yeah, that little Griffith, I love the look of it. I love the fact it's a 289 Ford engine, but I hear they get really squirrely because of that really short wheelbase.
Yeah, they can be squirrely to drive. I've driven one of those, and they are fun, but part of the styling I like, part of it's like, it almost looks like a kit car and not like a real car, but, to those that really know, it's,
Right,
it's still a great car.
Now, why was the Jag such an easy keep for you? You just love those cars, or the value of the Jag?
I've restored a few E-Types, and I like those cars, and I particularly like the first series of them when they had the long, skinny,
right,
the non-bulbous covered headlights, and then it's just a good look.
Yeah, it sure is. It's a beautiful, beautiful car. So,
and a lot of people will say, well, why the flat bottom, not a Series 2, covered headlight Series 2? Well, you can actually see that floor pan drop down on the non-flat pan cars.
Okay, so the profile view.
I've always liked that profile view with that flat bottom, where you can't see the floor dropping down. So
right. Well, you're not short, so would you be comfortable in a flat bottom car?
Probably not.
That's okay though. Well, cool. Well, what's the best way for our listeners to learn more about you and your business?
Euroclassics with an X.com. It's EUROCLASSIX. We're on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Dale Oakes, OAKES. Instagram also with Mr. Euroclassics. So
awesome. Well, thanks for your time today, Dale.
All right. Well, thank you. It was nice chatting with you, and hope to run into you again soon.
Thanks for listening to the Collector Car Podcast. Don't forget to give us a nice rating on iTunes, and be sure to follow us on Instagram and everywhere else at the Collector Car Podcast.